Hello, my name is Sebastian and I'm here interviewing Omar. Omar, my topic is surrounding, can London be considered a national park? My first question to you is, what types of species of animals do you expect to see in London?
I think there's loads and loads of species in London. I think a lot of people sort of know the obvious ones, so
Yeah.
pigeons in Trafalgar Square, or foxes screaming at night in your garden, or parakeets beating up songbirds in your trees. But there's a huge variety of wildlife in London, both in central but also outer London as well, which I think often gets overlooked.
Yeah.
There's a huge variety of vertebrates, so there's so many different insects, like butterflies, moths, different types of ants as well, beetles, things like that. I think it depends where in London you go, because London is such a big area, you're not going to get the same species across the whole of the capital.
Yeah.
So different areas are better for different things. So if you're going to Woodbury, you're going to find like wetland creatures. If you go to a forest, you're going to find like woodland creatures. So a huge variety of animals are present in the city.
It's good you pointed out the different sites, like where species are kind of more like abundant space.
Yeah.
How would you feel if I told you that London can be a national park based on the species that you said?
I wouldn't be surprised. I think a lot of people sort of look at like these massive buildings and all the traffic that's like going past us right now and just immediately assume that because an area is built up or because there's so much human activity that immediately means that wildlife can't exist amongst it or alongside it. But that's not the case at all. You see like a lot of cases where animals thrive, even do better in an urban place, and nowhere's more urban in the UK than London, and there's still so many animals that have done well in an area like this. I think it's just trying to make sure that other animals that don't fare as well still have their own pockets of areas so that they can still thrive to an extent.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of thing that would need to be done in order to make it like the best version of a natural park.
So what you're saying is adaptive. So that's the whole process of.
Yeah, I don't think London's like a bad example, but there's definitely improvements that can be made in terms of biodiversity gain, for example.
Yeah. You mentioned that you want like pockets of London to be kind of abundant of a certain species.
Yeah.
Do you think that's kind of wise because you said that you want to make human-made kind of sites? Is that kind of a good thing or bad thing?
So, for example, like with the traineeship that we've been doing, I've been able to explore places on the Brilliant Butterfly Project,
Yeah.
and they're not huge areas when you compare it to the size of London itself, but they are a decent enough sized area that many species of insects, butterflies in this case, which otherwise wouldn't be able to thrive, can thrive in these areas. So they don't need like a national park that's the size of the Lake District.
Yeah, I know what you mean,
But they're okay with having even an area like this, St John's Gardens, what it's called. It can be a successful place for wildlife. So
Thank you for that. So last question before we wrap up is, could London be rebranded from an urban metropolis to a wildlife or national park?
I don't think it can be rebranded. I think London sort of cemented itself as a metropolis, it's like a global city, I think, and it's one of only a handful of cities in the world that are classed as a global city.
Yeah.
I think. So it would take a lot. I mean, it would probably take like a war or something, and half of London being obliterated for it to lose that image as an urban centre. So I don't think that understanding of London is going to leave anytime soon. But I don't think that just because it's an urban centre or a metropolis or a humongous city that doesn't mean that it can't be a wildlife haven and a national park as well.
Yeah, thank you for your insight and
Thank you for
your
the
answers.
cool
Thank you.
questions, Sebastian.